convention, but one of them. But he was recording it all on his VHS shoulder-mounted video camera to tell you how far things have come. So he was trying to put together reconstruct the layout of the convention hall. So thought it would just be fun for nostalgia purposes, I guess, and to see where they started and such.
And I don't know if you can tell, you probably can tell, that the program was originally printed with a dot matrix printer. No laser printers then. The sigils on the front, I traced over and drew by hand on a drafting board. So my dad's work. A hand-drawn map of downtown Fort Wayne. All the restaurants. Yeah, that was very important because people get hungry. I think there's actually more restaurants then than there were now.
That's probably true.
The Grand Wing Center's expanded out, taken over that whole block next to it. Some of them went under. But yeah, I guess didn't really have a outline for explaining anything, but I guess just to kind of give you a background on how we started the convention. We knew that there was a 10th anniversary coming up, so it was in '93 that we started thinking about somebody needs to do something for it, because this has been a major part of our lives, and we need to celebrate this, and other people need to know about it, you know. And I was working at one of the few temporary jobs I had out of college. I was working in a factory doing computer stuff. They had this office off to the side, kind of out in the plant, that nobody used that much, and I could use that phone to call Hasbro and kind of make my contacts with them during normal business hours. And I don't remember exactly how I got through to them, but I started talking to one of the guys in their marketing department. His name was Karl Fritz. He's moved on to other stuff since, but trying to convince him that, you know, a 10th anniversary for Transformers would be a good idea, and he actually got behind it. He jumped on the idea, but he had to try and convince the other people there that it was something worth pursuing. One of the other people that he did get that was interested in it was Tom Bowman, who was also in the marketing. He could have been product designer. I can't remember the exact titles now. But they really went as much as they could, at least, because this was such a new thing that they hadn't ever been exposed to. People want to do a convention for our toys. And they had the G.I. Joe shows already, but that had, you know, a 30-year history, or it might have been 40 years by that point, because people started, I think, in '63. So, I mean, the collectors for Joe's had been around for a long time. The Transformers was still a new kid on the block, so to speak. And they gave us their blessing to go ahead and pursue it. And they actually offered said, well, you want to do a toy? And we got these things because they were planning on doing stuff in the second year of G2. And they had some toys that they weren't going to run. They had planned it, but they canceled it. And so they sent us the set of the small carded Slag-A-Con Protectobots and said, pick one. And so we picked Breakdown because it looked the coolest. And so then they made 300 of that one for giving out at the show. So
although we didn't actually get all of them. Because
they held some for themselves. Let's see, there were a total of 300 made, which was 25 cases. We got 17 cases. They kept 4 cases for themselves, for like family and whatnot. And the other 4 cases went to FX95, which was run by Whiz Bang Collectibles. Way back when, if any of you old timers remember. but you will sometimes see them out on the market. They've got a gold sticker on the front saying it was FX95. Ours had the, well, it didn't have anything on the front, but it had the, I remember it was funny because we had to put stickers over the back side showing where the rest of the Stunticons that were pictured there. So we said BotCon 94 exclusive, other Stunticons not available. I did it on just mailing labels, again on my dot matrix printer. And just slapped them over. They had to use 2 of them because it wasn't big enough to cover the whole square. So ghetto or
Yeah, well, you know, that's how everything starts somewhere.
I know. But as far as advertising went, I think most of the
It was in toy, or was it in Toy Shop, or was it in one of the, was it Lenny's Action Figure News and Toy Review?
yeah, that was the one ad, one magazine ad that we got out there for. Was I don't know if you remember. Well, he's still around.
It's still around.
Yeah, Action Figure News and Toy Review. And I think we had also talked about it on alt.toys.transformers.
Yeah, I don't even know if we put that up.
Somebody
put the information up. I think it was like a week or 2 before the show, because Rosemary she did not come to the first one because she just missed it. And she would have been another one of the perfect attendance. There's 7 of us that have been to every single BotCon, and she would have been the 8th one. She would have been another one. It was, you know, I remember very clearly getting since that was my freshman year in college, setting everything up for the summer of '94, getting a call from Jonathan saying, we have to come up with a name for this thing. And I said, okay. And he said, well, what about BotCon? You know, Robot Convention, Autobot Decepticon. Okay, that sounds good. And it's still kicking around, you know. I mean, he came up with a name for it, and it's, you know, something very simple, but now that it's kind of a well-known name, I suppose. I mean, people, Brian calls his show JoeCon, the other show calls it JoeCon since it's, I don't know,
He officially changed it?
not officially, but he calls it JoeCon. Like in-house, he calls it JoeCon.
Just make sure he separates the syllables because it's joke.
Joke on.
So you don't want that.
Joke on.
Joke on, joke off.
I think for me, one of the coolest things that I remember, especially from the first show, was when the Hasbro guys came in, and if you look on your map, we were back in our little collection room area.
Refer to your diagram.
Refer to your diagram.
You will be quizzed later.
They brought the whole line of 95 stuff to show. And one of the things, they were trying to put them together because they brought them all in their suitcase on carry-on on the plane. And it was the auto rollers. They had pulled out the auto rollers. And, you know, I mean, like the auto transformation stuff and the light piping and all that stuff is, you know, kind of commonplace now. But back then, the auto rollers were, I mean, even though they were just blocky as all get out, you flip the button and they transform, and I just freaked out when I saw those guys transform. First they rolled and transformed, and I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. I remember that very clearly. I thought that was fabulous. And, you know, Dreadwing's missiles that shot, you know, because Gatling gun, because, you know, shooting missiles were, you know, that weren't allowed. I mean, they took that was bad taboo, yeah, because of the whole, going way back, the whole rocket fired Boba Fett and the whole Cylon thing from the Bullet Hole.
No,
Battlestar Galactica, thank you. Back in, that's where some kid like either shot their eye out or choked on a missile or something, so all shooting missiles had guess they changed the regulations, so if they were long enough, they could get fined. So I remember when Tom Bowman flipped that thing, shot all the missiles, everybody in the crowd just went nuts. It was awesome. Yeah.
And launching the car out of the grease pit racing rig,
Yeah.
which, gosh, got canceled, but that was just one of those fun little concepts.
Yeah. Yeah, that people were great. And one of the things that I think got the most applause at that show, and is still proven, true to this day, was that people were afraid that Dreadwing was going to be the last Transformer. That was going to be it, and then the line was canceled because there were rumors maybe it was going to be canceled, and they said no, Transformers are going to live for a long time. Lots of applause, and it's who would have known at that point that where things have gone, with the third movie that's now fourth highest grossing movie of all time with like $1.1 something billion in gross. It's just crazy. Actually, before Slag-A-Con 94, I'm trying to think of some stuff that maybe some people don't know. Because I know there's a lot of our history that's out there. We got together in the summer of '93 with Pete Sinclair, I think some of you guys know him, and Raksha, who was a fan early on. She doesn't come to the shows much anymore, but she's still a fan. I still see her on Facebook.
If you remember her, maybe she used to have snakes.
Mm-hmm.
Avatar.
Yeah.
Yep. And Rick Hoffman, who lived in Chicago. I don't know where Rick is now, but we all decided to get together at the Kane County Toy Show in Chicago. So everybody ever been to the Kane County Toy Show? Huge, gigantic toy show at the Kane County Fairgrounds. If you walk at a good power walking pace to get through all the buildings and stuff, you would have to probably go for about 4.5 hours of walking straight through all the stuff. There's dolls, anyway, Star Wars stuff. But we all decided to meet at that show just as a little gathering of local fans, and we talked about maybe the potential of doing, another local show. And it was just fun to sit around and chat and hang out with other fans. I mean, we had brought some stuff that we were selling.
I was wearing the shirts too.
Were we wearing the shirts?
I think
We
so.
had decided by that point.
Well, we had the shirt for, I think we did it twice.
There were two King Counties.
Yeah.
Because there was one in October.
Yeah.
There's one in October.
So one of them I was wearing the shirt.
Sorry, we're dusting off the cobwebs. Yeah, because we did. It was one in June, and we did go back in October. That's right, with the T-shirts on.
Well, there are actually three.
There are three,
April,
but we
June,
went
October.
to the second. Yeah. We were actually toying around with the idea of potentially wearing the old T-shirts today, but I don't think anybody would have wanted any part of that.
I think I could still fit.
Yeah, no. Not here. Not here.
A little too young one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Better than these stuff.
Yeah, I could wear it as a scarf.
I have a few Transformer shirts that are a little young on me now.
Well, when I graduated high school, which is about that time, I was 6'10" and 195. I was very, very thin. So yeah, I couldn't do that. No way.
Let's see, as far as figuring out what we wanted to have at the show, I think we just brainstormed and thought of, what possible areas of fan interest could people want to see there. So we thought about videos, although one caveat to that, I don't remember Hasbro said anything about that because I don't know that they had many of their legal guidelines in place since it was such a new thing, but I can't remember if they said whether we could or could not show American stuff. I think that's why
we did not show any Americans.
yeah, so if you look at the program, you'll see that we had a bunch of Japanese things going, which I suppose worked out okay anyway, just because a lot of people might not have seen that.
At that time.
Yeah, it was a lot of there was a lot of trading going on with mailing lists of people, and going back and forth, swapping old VHS copies, and we've got
Kicking around some
boxes of that stuff too. Now that it's coming out of DVD, it's kind of obsolete, but it was still interesting, and we knew that people were big into doing fan art, so we wanted to have some kind of an art contest, and we had our toy collection that we took down at the time, although all the carded stuff we just took the cards of, because we still had the cards for them, but the toys themselves were loose, so it would be a little bit awkward to display them. But that was, you were kind of in charge of all of that, laying out
the collection room for all the grids. We had it all. The box things were on cardboard, tiered step things on each of the tables, and then the box things are the carded. I guess just the cards, because they weren't actually on cards. Right. They were on huge pegboards and held up with metal legs,
leaning up against the wall of the segment of the room that it was in.
And
you spent days on that.
trying to put that stuff together to make it look right in chronological order around the side. And Tony Brito was gracious enough to also let us display some of his Japanese stuff. And European stuff, that's correct. The Action Masters, the Action Master Elites, a lot of the stuff from Big 3. And stuff that was at that time still pretty new, I suppose, or not much seen in the U.S. at that point.
The dealers, we had to have dealers, which, looking back on it now, are there any people here who actually were at BotCon 94? Okay.
You're talking about Matt Wasaki.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know, are any of you familiar with Rugby Starbase or Matt Warsaki?
Years ago.
Okay. Yeah, I think he ended up, he get out of it.
Yeah,
He sold it to Dwayne Quixie. He took over it. But at the beginning, Matt, he's from Buffalo, New York, and he had been stockpiling cases and cases and cases of Transformers. And he brought them to the show. On the layout,
If you refer to your diagram.
he's the yellow section over here. Now, what this doesn't reflect is the fact that his tables were double stacked. So he actually had, I think it was 11 tables.
It was actually
And
two used, and they were double stacked. So he had 12 tables.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it was very interesting. And I mean, sealed cases of cars. What about
Yeah.
cars?
a sealed Fort Max in the case. Comic boxes filled with just carded aerial bots and everything. Just everything. Action Master Optimus Prime's 4D, Action Master Megatron's 5D. I mean, it was just outrageous.
And the prices on everything was still pre-eBay prices, so it's like $5.
High for the. I think ours were like $60, which is a little high for the time, but I think anybody in this room would probably pay $60 for a sealed G1 card these days. I mean, it was. I went over there like 5 or 6 times, just because we had all that stuff, but it was still just awesome to see it all in one place. I mean, that dude must have done some serious money that day. Good. But it was great though. It was great. He had a great time, and we met a lot of good friends over the course of that weekend. Fumihiko Akiyama, who missed not this past year's BotCon, but 2 BotCons ago. He's a good friend. He came all the way from Japan for that show, and
So it truly was an internet.
it truly was an unofficial international convention. That's right. And the only reason he missed 2 years ago was because he was opening his dentistry business that weekend. So he felt really, really badly about missing BotCon because he knew that he was one of the people that had never missed. But as a little aside, and I was telling you what a great guy Fumihiko is. When I had just gotten out of my master's degree at IU, and the wind ensemble that I played in, we took a tour of Japan. And the last night we were in the area, we just happened to be around where Fumihiko lives, and he took me out and around the various toy shops, and he showed me his apartment, showed me some things that nobody's ever seen before. He's got some things that he's never really wanted me to mention, and I won't. But he's just yes. Things that I'm not sure that Hasbro even knows happened, because I'm sure he got some stuff from Takara that Hasbro may not have even known about, some G2 things that never
Shouldn't exist.
Shouldn't exist, right?
No, they don't exist.
They're right, they don't exist.
Now our imaginations are running.
Yes. there are pictures, but I don't even think any of them got out on the web. I have, for the record, I have petitioned for some of that stuff to come back in, not to talk about the Brian stuff. I have petitioned for some of that stuff to try to make its way back in, but I don't think it's a corporate scheme for where Transformers are going right now.
Well, it's some of the molds might be
Right, it's very true.
really old stuff.
Right. But needless to say, some very, very cool stuff. Anyway, Fumihiko's a great guy. Hopefully you guys, if you go to Slag-A-Con, hopefully you guys get a chance to meet him. He's a dealer pretty much every show, I think. Either he's a dealer or he's hanging out with Azusa and those guys. It's great.
Azusa still shows up?
Oh, absolutely.
I haven't been to Vodka in like 5 years.
This
so
guy
I
hasn't
kind
been
of-
the one in a while since we
Yeah.
had the big sell-off. Yeah, in 2006.
Life gets busy. So.
Yes, absolutely.
Look in your packet there, on the back of the program, you can see we had a survey. And, we really didn't know how people were going to react to the whole show. So we came up with some questions to ask people. Like, what did you think of the toy? Now, granted, we didn't have to do anything for the toy. Hasbro actually made it, so it wasn't like some of the other shows where they would either actually done custom stuff or just modified retools or just recolors and things that we had to come up with packaging and everything for. But who would people want to see as guests? What did you think about the Hasbro presentation? One of the funny questions, looking back at the answers too, and knowing where BotCon is now, do you feel that $15 was too much, just right, or not enough to pay to pre-register for the convention? You put that into perspective now. Yeah, and how much would you be willing to pay to pre-register for a future Transformers convention? Most people at the top limit put like $25. Give it a little bit of room to grow. Yeah, it's a little more than that, usually. One of the other funny answers I remember seeing was, what was your opinion of the Hasbro presentation? The guy said, it was awesome, it was the best thing ever, I cried. So that just shows that some people actually were that moved by what they were seeing. These are the actual Hasbro people here showing us stuff. And,
Right. And it was
the first interaction that they had with anybody. So I think their comments after the fact is that they were just as amazed as we were that, holy cow, there are people that really like our stuff. And they go nuts over it. So I think that helped open their eyes too on the outlook of the Transformers community, collector community. I don't know. Trying to think of anything else.
You can obviously past the first show, we could go on and on and on about various other things. I mean, there's so many stories you can tell about Slag-A-Con. I mean, you could write books about all of it. You know, not just Slag-A-Con, but TFCC, variety of stuff. I mean, and I just think it's great that there are more than just the big show, more than just Slag-A-Con. I think it's great that all the smaller shows for more local things, regional shows. I think it's great that everybody has those, or that those are around. I see them popping up like all the time, because that's realistically, that's where Slag-A-Con started. That's and not that everything's gonna blow up to what that ended up being, but I think there's a place for everything. Absolutely a place for anything. If you get more than 5 or 6 Transformers fans in a place, you can have a little get together, and that's whether it's play testing with the toys, or just watching videos, getting together to watch the cartoon, or whatever you want to do. I mean, I think it's great that fans can do that, and I think honestly, Transformers fans are some more normal fan base around, without getting too I don't want to bash into other fan bases, but there are some that are very very opinionated and very divided. And you know what? I think Transformers fans are just like, we're still happy we've got stuff.
Yeah.
That's still happy
Being
we've got
currently
stuff.
developed.
That's being currently developed, right? Because other than the Clone Wars cartoons, and Star Wars now. Not much.
They make a lot of toys which make a lot of sense since it's used toilet paper.
Yeah, they make a lot of toys, right?
Like when you read on the posters of battle droids, those are awesome.
But,
They're the same thing as the originals.
right. I mean, are those more for collectors? Are those more for
And all one about 1,000 of battle
Yes. The question I have for both of you is, I've heard a lot of stories about the first convention, but what turned it to get you to do like the second or third one? I mean, I know you have a lot of stories, but I've not heard much about how did you get to the second one?
The thing is, we didn't actually do the second one. After we did the first one, I don't remember if she came to us or we offered it to her.
I think we got a couple of people interested in doing the second convention, and since we had known Raksha, we're like, okay, there you go, have fun.
So yeah, so she basically, well, she asked some questions, just like logistical things and ideas for how to organize stuff. One thing that I think she caught on to that I didn't do was that you let people register for their own hotel rooms. This is something I was telling Chad a little earlier this morning, is that that's probably the one thing that I wish I hadn't done for the first show, and I didn't know any different, but when people signed up for a hotel room, they paid, they sent me the money for the room rate itself, and I went down to the hotel, which was a half-hour away in Fort Wayne, and registered them with their name and address and everything, and paid the hotel tax out of my own pocket that they shut off. So that was, that didn't happen anymore after that.
But it's a little experience.
Yeah. But yeah, Raksha did the second show in Dayton, and she had her own toy that she did the packaging for, and Hasbro supplied the car for some little GoBots. And yes, thank you, sir. I think we ended up being dealers then. I don't remember how. I think we just like got some people's
extra stuff
around in the area and decided to sell it. And then after that show, Men in Black Collectibles, excuse me, who had also been dealers at the '95 show, had expressed some interest in doing it, and that was Dennis Barter and his crew. I can't remember the name of the other guys that were. Dennis was the main one, and so so he ended up doing the show in Chicago. Again, we were there as dealers, and you know, with the whole issues that happened to his stuff. Were many of you at 96?
97.
I never went to a convention until 2006, but I was in all Pop Toys and Transformers. And I remember reading stuff coming back from the show and
Reading
what
the
happened
fallout.
after.
Yeah, it was epic stuff.
What happened? Cake and water?
Well, he was having a 10th anniversary or 10th birthday for the Transformers the movie. It had a cake and everything. The cake was there, but I don't know. I think the kitchen had closed by the time that they got around to showing the movie and getting ready for the cake. So they just. I can't remember, did they have any silverware at all? I think it was just finger food with napkins.
And water.
And water to drink.
Yeah.
And the tape didn't work.
Oh, for the videotape?
I didn't.
I think I do remember that.
I didn't remember that.
I think I do remember that.
Wow, that's unfortunate.
The name tags were just, "Hi, my name is," and then you like hang on. So he didn't do anything like a lanyard or anything. So that was just a style point that we lost.
Hey, speaking of lanyards, we had last year, we had the little things kind of like this, but we glued like pins on the back. Yeah, every one of them fell off. So we had name tags laying all over the floor.
Okay.
He still has his, so don't feel bad about name tags, John. Trust me. It's fun, but it's a headache.
Well, and actually, honestly, we didn't do name tags the first year.
No,
we just had a
button.
yellow button with the
The
metal
red
button, and it had, and there was a card that you got, and they were sequentially numbered, so you got a matching pair of it. We actually still have some spare. I don't know how many of them match numbers. So. Like when you came in, you punched one card or one hole on the card, and then when you got your free toy, you punched the other hole on the card. So nobody actually had any name tags. But
You'll occasionally see the buttons show up on eBay, and they get this like disturbing amounts of money, like $40 or $50 for a button. Come on.
this is garish yellow.
Yeah,
big
bright.
It does have copyright Takara on the edge of it. It's
Yeah.
1984. Because that was one thing we had to put on everything, even the card that we had. They made us, that was our legal department experience. Everything had to have Takara on
Right. Oh, and for the record, to kind of bring it to 2004 when we did our official last show, the Action Master Breakdown.
it. Our official, unofficial.
Our official, unofficial last show, right? The Action Master Breakdown, we were very, very careful about the use of Action Master and the G2 Decepticon symbol. Because Hasbro let the copyrights or the trademarks of those things go. They did not own them. So, fair game, and we ended up putting Action Master and the Decepticon logo on the package because it was still legal to do. And we talked to, I talked to Paula Walsh at Slag-A-Con in Rhode Island, and she said Hasbro conveniently looked the other way on that stuff because they appreciated, what we had done with Slag-A-Con. They weren't going to bring the hammer down on us, even though they really didn't have any legal means to do so. They still really weren't going to bring the hammer down on us. So that was nice. That was nice. Yeah, that was nice. Thanks, Paula, for not bringing the legal team down.
I don't think she was up there.
Oh yeah.
Why they decided to use that for the traditional.
They just decided to
Shake it up.
change it up a little bit.
No, but seriously, which one would you rather have on your card? This or that?
Well, that's more iconic.
Right.
Yeah.
But this is, I'm like, okay, yes, it's Soundwave's head, but who cares?
Yeah.
Don't let Boxy hear you say that.
Well, and realistically, those are only around for what, 3 years before they changed the keys and stuff.
Yeah, and even these, they kept the same design, but
Machine
they
Wars.
inverted the color scheme
Oh,
and
right.
stuff like that. Yeah.
What, at the last question I have for you is, are you guys looking forward to the 30-year anniversary of Transformers, and are you guys going to make an appearance? I guess it would be the 20th anniversary of Slag-A-Con, which would be
that.
2014.
Thank you for making me feel old.
You are old.
Yeah.
I think
Remember, I was just saying, look, I grew up with G1 too, so that's my mom.
No, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to miss Slag-A-Con unless there's like, some crazy circumstance, but that would be the 20th. What?
Deliver your first child or something like that.
Then that'd be,
You might need this.
yeah. But no, that'd be, that's crazy to think about. 20 years of Slag-A-Con and Transformers and 30 years of Transformers, period. Going back to the days, remembering like, ooh, we got 2 G2 figures this month, awesome. And then to all the madness that's going on now. All these young kids, they don't know shit.
Back in my day.
Any other questions? I know Gary talks and come on us up. Yeah.
I have one. I noticed you said that there were 300 of the breakdown for BotCon 94. But I also periodically online see like the orange hotspot, like the other Protectobots and things. Were those just prototype samples that have leaked out, or what?
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
well, they did some, just for their normal pre-production process, that when they did samples of stuff, they would do like 1 case or half a dozen or something. So that's why you would see some of the other, at least the carded Protectobots of Slag-A-Con still coming out from other people that were not convention related stuff, but the main bodies.
Yeah, Hotspot Motormaster, as far as we have ever heard, there were none of those that have made it to package.
I've never seen one package.
Never turned up. I mean, there have been, maybe in the order of, over all the years, I've only ever seen maybe 5 of each. I know one guy has one that's has a Motormaster that's got a unused G2 sticker sheet and all the weapons still on the sprues, and yeah, he got it from some crazy source. But yeah, that's the most complete one I've ever seen.
I think usually on some of that weird canceled stuff, especially from G2, you'll find like the second series of the laser cycles, or the second series of the heroes of the Optimus and Megatron heroes, you'll find there were like 6 of those, and that's about it.
Yeah, they don't pop up.
The Megatron ATV.
There were a few more of those.
Oh, there were like a dozen?
No, they were like probably 24-ish.
Oh,
A few cases.
no.
No, I mean, no.
The Green Beast Wars Ramblers.
Which, yeah. As far as we can tell, that thing showed up like maybe at the Hasbro employee store or something. Same as the blue Optimus Minor, and there was a rumor of a 3rd different color of somebody that just. And there was also a rumor of those Protectobots showing up at the Hasbro employee store too. But again, nothing can ever be confirmed with that stuff.
What would you guys consider the worst Transformer figure ever?
The worst Transformers figure ever.
Well, I guess it depends on what criteria you're using to define the worst.
I mean, what
The
you
body
consider-
design, the color
So I mean, what would you
scheme.
consider to be the overall absolute biggest piece of crap? Because I see someone who's like, hey, look, I got a form.
Well,
Retracts.
you can get behind that. Yeah.
Retracts isn't very good.
That's a pretty solid.
Neither is Armada Night Beat. No, not his big dude.
Smoke.
Sideswipe.
Sideswipe.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
I can get behind those.
Yeah, those are pretty foul.
Something like, you got a Transformer, it's like, hey, you transform it, put it together, and the arms fall off, and you're like,
Kind of like the Unicron prototype of BotCon 96.
Okay.
Yeah, all the pictures you see are his arms like this, because it's falling out of the socket.
Well, I think we got the cease and desist. So.
Thank you.
guys all around.